Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host, Sree Iyer. Joining me is Ameya Prabhu. And Ameya is a young entrepreneur and he's a senior vice president of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. He's on a visit to United States and I had the good fortune of meeting him today. And I thought, Ameya, we can sit down and have a conversation about PGurus and have him share some of the thoughts about where the Indian industry is headed and what are the opportunities. I'll start with a very simple question. The recent BRICS summit, I think, either that or the
G20.
No, G20 से पहले, I think maybe it was the state.
South Africa में जो थी.
हाँ, BRICS में, or either it was BRICS or the one before that, which was when he came as a state visit to United States. Somewhere Modi ji said one line, अब अच्छा है, business अच्छा है, and he also said बाद में नहीं कहना कि मैंने नहीं बोला. So it's a very indirect way, subtle way of hinting that India is going to be doing extremely well in business. He has hinted this. Viewers, अक्लमंद को इशारा काफी है. I don't know how many of you have taken that hint. But Ameya, you have been in the Indian industry. By the way, guys, I can't tell you enough things about Ameya. He's an entrepreneur. He's got many things. He uses. He sells in places where you and I probably haven't even realized that there is a potential. During the course of this conversation, you will hear a little bit about what Ameya is doing. So first of all, Ameya, how is India looking as a destination today for business?
Thank you. Firstly, thank you, Iyer sir, for having me on your podcast, and it's such a pleasure to be here. If you ask, I'm in the US. I was at a conference called G49. I was speaking there in Northern California earlier this week, actually just yesterday morning. It feels a lot longer, but it was just yesterday morning. But it was, of course, I was the only Indian there, and we had top industrial company CEOs, companies like with market caps of 10 to 40 billion. It was a select group of about 80 people, large investors who invest tens of billions of dollars of assets, and all of them, every other presentation was on inflation, on macroeconomic trends, on stuff, but the only country presentation was on India. I was actually invited to speak on India, opportunities in India, the way I saw India. And the fact that such CEOs in a select group of CEOs and investors, you're invited to speak about India as the only country, itself shows you how much the world is interested in India today. I'm today in Silicon Valley and meeting with several VCs, investors, and everybody's saying, India is really hot. India is really interesting. Can you tell us more about India? So I think that firstly, to invest, we call it the animal spirits. You need you need that excitement, the animal spirits to invest, and I think that's already there. But these are not blind animal spirits. These are backed by strong fundamentals. We are almost a $4 trillion economy. In the next 3 years, we'll be the third largest economy by 2026. By 28-29, I expect us to be 6 trillion as an economy. And of course, this is on nominal terms. On purchasing power terms, we're already the third largest in the world.
Yes.
So you see the size of the economy growing. Number two, of course, we've been a services-driven economy. Going forward with Make in India and very other policies, including some of the PLI schemes that the government has brought, the production-linked incentive schemes, you will see a lot of jobs also coming in manufacturing. We also see that growing going forward. And I think all of this will be driven to create a higher per capita income for Indians.
That's the next target.
That is what is important. Ultimately, your GDP can grow as much as it can. But till we attain middle income status, I think that should be the next target for us as a country. But I think that said, if you look at the country as a whole, sure, our GDP is about, in nominal terms, about $2,600 per capita. But if you look at micro markets, now what I mean by that is if you look at the MMR, look at the area around Delhi, if you look at say Chennai and that whole belt, and Bangalore, there are several parts of the country, you actually see a much higher GDP per capita.
Yes.
But of course, as I personally believe that jab tak the last man or woman in the whole economic chain doesn't actually come up the curve, I think you've not really achieved success as a country. And I think that's what the Prime Minister has been focusing on economic growth while also doing social upliftment. Now that's a unique challenge we have as India, right? I mean, China, US, Europe can focus on economic growth. We have to do social upliftment and do economic growth,
right,
while also protecting the environment. So and while being in a democracy. So if you see the challenges we have as India, and we as business people should appreciate that being a democracy, no other country has these problems. China is not a democracy. US doesn't have to focus as much on social upliftment. It's a rich country. So is Europe. So of course there's good economic growth in the US. Europe still has to focus on that. So the challenges that we have in India are really, really unique. And I think considering these challenges, growing at say 6% a year, while consistently winning elections democratically, and doing stuff for the people on the last mile in terms of direct benefit transfer, in terms of giving the we have this program wherein during COVID and even post that we fed 850 million people, 85 crore logon ko hum logon ne khana diya. I think that is very impressive, if you ask me.
Very true, very true. It's not just the fact that you have the grains to give away, but to be able to sustain at it, where many of them are getting their food at their doorstep because of COVID. That's truly stupendous. Now, you in India, you mentioned it a little bit, in that there are some areas where the growth is fairly palpable. You can see the thing, and there are other places where it is growing. Uttar Pradesh, for example. And we still have Bihar, and then Northeast is just kind of warming up. They've just laid down the infrastructure. We've laid down the roads and things like that. You're going to be a key person in Chamber of Commerce, India's Chamber of Commerce, very soon, and advance congratulations for
Thank
that.
you.
Now, as the person who is representing India in some of these events, how would you pitch, for example, opportunity? I'll give you a simple equation. Bamboo grows a lot in Northeast. But we are not really using bamboo for a lot of things. For example, the floor that we are sitting on here,
it's wood.
It's wood, but bamboo can be used here.
True.
And India has a lot of bamboo. So this is just an example. You can take any other example, but when you have to look at something like this, where if you put in the investment, you're going to get a great return, how would you go about helping the cause?
So I think you raised a few points here, so I'll address them one by one. First of all, on Uttar Pradesh, I think UP is a great example. Actually, UP already is the 4th largest economy in India.
Yes.
By GSDP.
Yes.
But there's a potential to grow much more. But again, I spoke about animal spirits. For people to invest, you first need security. You need safety. You need safety of investment. You need to know that मैंने एक investment या निवेश किया है तो कोई आके कब्जा नहीं करेगा उस पर. तो what the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh has done, what Yogi ji has done, is firstly bring in security of investment, security of personal safety. Ultimately, that's also very important. I mean, why don't people invest in Somalia today? Because it's not safe, right?
Yes.
So bringing that personal safety into the picture. So if you ask me, next 5 to 7 years, you will see tremendous amounts of investment in Uttar Pradesh. And I mean, we will not be surprised. Maybe in 10 years, it could be the largest economy in the country, because it has the potential to be that. And when states of India grow, we have 29 states in the country, when each state grows, the GDP will grow, because ultimately if each state grows at 6-7%, the country will grow at 6-7%, right? So I think that's number one. Number two is, you mentioned that I will soon be taking over as president of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. So we are the 3rd largest chamber of commerce in the country, but the largest in the eastern part of the country, and by far the largest in the eastern part, and the oldest in India. So you spoke about the Northeast, and Northeast we are the largest chamber of commerce. And I think bamboo, my father, when he was environment minister, actually started the bamboo policy for the country. And I think bamboo has some of the highest potential in terms of growth areas. Now we run an NGO in the family. It's called Manav Sadhan Vikas Tausta. It's primarily in the Konkan region of Maharashtra, Sindhudurg and Ratnagiri district. And we have something called KONBAC, which is Konkan Bamboo Cooperative, that we run. And they make bamboo furniture. They make, for example, in resorts in the Maldives, they've had beautiful, stunning bamboo establishments and roofs created. Even, for example, the Bangalore airport, they've got a stunning, I don't know if you've seen it, but they've done a stunning bamboo roof there. So bamboo has a lot of potential. I think what it lacks is marketing. What it lacks is awareness. But those who are using it are very happy. So but that's just one example, right? I think there are, in the Northeast, for example, Northeast English is spoken very well. There's a lot of potential for call centers and for back offices to be done there. I think the Northeast also has a lot of potential in hospitality. I mean, if you see today around the country, some of the best hospitality personnel come from the northeast of our country, and now and northeast, as you know, is probably one of the most beautiful parts of India, if not the world. Right. So if we start having hotels and resorts there, I do see a lot of potential for that. It's culturally very rich in terms of that. So that's one. But again, if you see even another part of the country, one huge success story is Orissa. Like Orissa today is a state which in the next 3 years will actually already has a fiscal surplus. It has reducing debt. It has a revenue surplus because of mining income. The state is going to be one of the richest states in the country. So once upon a time, Orissa was considered a backward state, was considered a state which was economically not as good as some of the other states. But today it's doing so well. Infrastructure has improved. People are doing well. I was in Orissa recently for a Indian Chamber of Commerce Orissa National Day. We are the largest chamber of commerce in Orissa as well. For that, so I was there for the annual day. Sorry, but it's phenomenal how that state is growing, right? So now these are things which maybe sitting in New York or London you don't know, but when you actually go to the ground, you can see the development that is going on in India. You can see and that's why when आपने जिक्र किया था कि मोदी जी ने कहा कि अभी बिजनेस अच्छा है, तो अभी अच्छा है और भी अच्छा होगा, right. और अल्टीमेटली दी मोदी जी जब गुजरात में मुख्यमंत्री थे तब भी उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा माहौल तैयार किया था धंधे के लिए. अभी प्राइम मिनिस्टर है, उन्होंने वही किया है, बट आई थिंक व्हाट ही हैज डन इवन बेटर. सी, गुजरात इज अ relatively richer state. Correct. When you are prime minister, you have to think about business, but you have to also think about all the other people who are in the backward sections of society, either economically backward sections of society. So it's a far more challenging job. So I think Modi ji has not only done for business, but it has also done for the backward sections of society, because as a country, as a nation, you can never truly grow unless all sections of society come.
Right. Very true. Very true. Wonderful. And then I'm going to ask you a last question before we wrap up this interview. We were talking before this interview, and you mentioned that you've done some investments in Africa. I mean, see, the thing is, India mein, when we are sitting in India, we tend to think like India mein itne opportunities hain, why go to a different continent? See, I'm trying to understand the entrepreneur inside you. Ki ye soch kaise aayi? How did you think that let me try this, and I see a potential there? So kind of walk us through, put on your entrepreneur's hat and tell us how you decided to do it.
Sure. So I think India, of course, has humongous opportunity.
Yes.
There is no two ways about it. I think India is a country where, at least in my lifetime and probably in my son's lifetime, there will be enough opportunity to grow. Because when people say India is an emerging economy, I say no. We are a re-emerging economy. Because, I mean, our history is very old. It's 10,000 years old. But even if I say, let's just take the last 2,000 years. For 1,700 of the last 2,000 years, we were either the largest or the second largest economy in the world, right? More than 50% of global GDP, India and China put together.
Right.
So we are not emerging, but we are re-emerging. We are going to what is, or we are going back to claim what is rightfully ours. And the world goes in economic cycles. So one other focus that we have is, how do we also take India global? Because I think we've always looked at कि विश्व का निवेश इंडिया में हो और भारत में हो, और वो होना ही चाहिए. But we also need to see कि how does Bharat go global, in terms of taking Indian businesses to Africa, to other places. So what we are doing is we actually are distributing motorcycles in Africa from India, TVS motorcycles. So and there was a business there which we took over and there, interestingly, we are competing with the Chinese. And, you'd be happy and surprised to know that while the Chinese are cheaper on cost, people still prefer Indian quality while paying a premium. So let's say a motorcycle taxi, there are a lot of motorcycle taxis there in a Benin or a Togo, which are, as you can imagine, they are not high income countries. But even there, India is synonymous with quality. Bang for a buck, so to say, right?
That is very difficult to earn.
Yeah.
Very difficult to earn.
Quality at the right price.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ameya, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And you've certainly very impressive. At such a young age, you've accomplished so much. But there's a vast sky out there. And I thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule to talk to our viewers. And viewers, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. And we want to wish Ameya the best of luck, and let's wish him all the best as President of Indian Chamber of Commerce. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to find some new opportunities for all those of you who are starting out with your own ideas in India. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for having me. Dhanyavad.